just quickly, I'm a partner at MMC Ventures. We're an early stage UK VC operating across the whole of the UK. We're one of the most active early stage investors in the UK, so I think we were second most active last year, and we're second most active again this year. I'm not sure if it's first, we need to sort that out. We manage over £110 million, and we're making about 6 to 8 new investments a year, and then about the same again in follow-on investments. I'll move on to sector focus later. Just in terms of the stage and size of our round, so we're investing between £500,000 and £5 million. And in the first round of funding, we're investing between £500,000 and £2.5 million. And our, I guess, style is very much to invest over the life cycle of an early stage company. So basically, it ends up being about 3 or 4 rounds of funding as the business grows. And that's kind of helpful for 2 different aspects. One, it prevents the founders from getting a lot of dilution early on, and then I guess the flip side of that is also allows us to really understand the business and understand what funding profile we think they need as we invest. In terms of stage, we go pretty early. Our bread and butter is, for want of a better word, Series A investment, which tends to be somewhere between £1 and £2.5 million in a business that's turning over about £100,000 a month. But our earlier stage investments are businesses that are turning over somewhere between 5 and 100 a month, and that's quite unusual for a VC that's the size of us to go down and do those early stage deals, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a second. We have 7 people on our investment team, and so 2 partners, and then 4 partners and 2 investment managers and an in-house legal. And we have a portfolio of 31 companies we closed on yesterday. So there's a few bits missing off this. We have more than one sector focus. But we invest in software companies, and companies can use that platform in all sorts of different ways. So about 50% of our business is direct to consumer, and about 50% of our portfolio is direct to consumer. About 50% is B2B. In terms of how they're using that software, so we invest in, on the consumer side, we invest in e-commerce businesses, marketplaces, and digital media businesses. And then on the B2B side, it's mainly software, but we also have done a couple of business-to-business marketplaces. And I can talk more about that later in the question and answer session. So this is our view on the, I guess, the evolution of an early stage business. And right at the start, we tend to see, well, I started in venture about 7 years ago, and back then, almost all of the proof of concept and seed stage in the UK, it's different in the US, but in the UK, was funded by the founders themselves and their family and friends. More recently, there's been a huge growth of accelerators and incubators all across the UK. And that's been a really positive trend. So we're seeing businesses now tend to fund themselves through these 2 routes in the very early stages. They then move on to, I guess, somewhere between 6 months and a year later to taking a business angel or seed fund round. And that tends to be much more focused money. So the successful companies are building networks with individuals who have experience in their sector, and then as those relationships grow, that turns into investments. And then also more recently, probably in the last 2 years, there's been a number of seed funds pop up in the UK. Some of it's motivated by the US EIS rules, which is a particularly attractive tax break for seed investments. And then others is motivated by more, as the early stage environment in the UK has grown and more people have sold businesses, the founders of those businesses have left and started to formalise seed funds and invest those into UK companies, which is a great trend. And then this is where we get involved. So the businesses tend to be somewhere between 1 year and 3 years old when we invest. They tend to have taken a level of funding. Some haven't, but most have. And then we come in. And I think if you think of the type of funding we do in 2 different blocks, our earlier stage stuff, which is what I mentioned earlier, somewhere between £5,000 a month and £100,000 a month of revenue, what we're doing there is investing between $500,000 and $1 million and trying to build a team around the founder. So they tend to be using that money to make their first senior hires, and then also to start to spend money on serious money on sales and marketing. Before the customers in the business side, the customers tend to have come out of their network. On the consumer side, the customers tend to have been acquired virally. So that's what we're doing, and then building the companies up to what we call Series A, which is their first proper sort of venture round of capital. Again, for us, the hurdle is 100k a month, and at that point, we're investing north of £1 million. And there, the funding is really going sort of aggressively into sales and marketing, a decent level into R&D, but I guess the step change for them is to actually have a proper sales and marketing budget, and then to build out the senior management team even more, and start to make some really kind of non-founder type hires. So I guess the first senior people you bring into your business, you tend to incentivize heavily with equity. You're paying below market rate because of that. Once you get up to the Series A, especially in the market that we're in at the moment, which is pretty competitive, you start to have to employ people at market salaries, and that's why people are taking on big VC rounds. And then our companies tend to grow through our funding, so we'll do 1 or 2 rounds and then start to bring in the larger growth VCs. And I guess there are 2 different types of companies that we invest in from this perspective. There are the international businesses, where success is predicated on building scale in other markets. In B2B software, that's typically the US. And if that's the case, then we tend to be bringing in the larger US VCs at that point to invest alongside us. Bramwatch, we're not an investor in Bramwatch, but it's a good example of a Brighton company that's gone through this evolution. So it took money from now to when in the Series A, which is when the time we invest in, and it's more recently taken a very big round from a US VC called Highland. Again, they expanded into the US, they proved a big opportunity there, and then the US VC gets interested. The second type of company is the one where the UK market is big enough to create a venture type exit, and at which point the growth VCs tend to come from the UK. And a bit like the seed market, as the UK ecosystem has evolved, there's probably, I could probably now name 10 growth VCs that are UK focused, that are really active, and so there's suddenly quite a bit more money here. We've got corporate venture funds here that kind of come across they actually come all the way across here. Some will invest a proof of concept because it's strategically important to them, and then they tend to co-invest with the more financially motivated VCs of the life of the company. And then if it all goes well, you get an IPO or an exit to a larger strategic player. So this is me. If you want to go and have a chat with me later, more than welcome to go into more detail on what I've talked about. I guess key thing here is I work with 9 of our portfolio companies, and again split about 50% B2B, 50% B2C. Particular interest in marketplaces, which is MBA & Co, and Batika, and productivity, which is Safeguarding Venues and Knowledge Mill, and Total Mobile. Yeah, that's me.
I'll just correct something as well. I'm an advisor for Unity. I wish I was an investor in Unity. They turn over $100 million, so, but no, I'm an advisor. But to give you, what's going on there? No. Better. No. How do I go back to the first one? Oh, okay, it's better. Done. Sorry. Yeah, I'm a non-exec for TribeHive, just to clear it up, and I co-founded a company called Mobile Interactive Group, which I exited in 2011. That's Anthony Nelson for you. So a couple of days ago, I was given the opportunity to tell you what a business angel is, and last night I thought about it in a lot more depth. A business angel isn't that. They do exist. There are angels out there that throw money around. You don't see many of them, but they do throw money around. The question would be, is it smart money and what are you getting? But an angel, that isn't a good angel investor, someone who just stands up at the top, the cloud, and throws money out and just willy-nilly gives money out. You're not getting anything for that. That isn't an angel investor. Yeah, he's not God. Doesn't exist. A good angel investor is someone who doesn't just support you financially or help you get you out of the blocks at the start, or maybe 6 months into your journey. He's also there to give you knowledge, support, help you with the network, smart money. When I started my business, we had 2 angel investors, and they were very active in our business, and that's what I personally wanted. And if you guys were looking for angel investment or even VC money, personally, I'd always bank on smart money. There is pure funds out there, or pure individuals who might randomly have £50,000, £100,000, and are willing to take what you call a punt. And you might be happy with that if you're clear on your knowledge and everything else. But I would always veer, this is my opinion, on the side of smart money. I'd rather have people involved that are putting money, time and effort. Otherwise, further down the line, if they're not understanding your business and they want their money back and you can't give it to them back, it starts getting quite emotional. And I've seen that in 2 or 3 companies only just recently. Who are they? A bit of a differ with John as such, but and sort of in different terminologies really. But an angel investor can be any of those, and I've witnessed lots of them. The agency market in London predominantly, Engine Group, people like that, they fund individuals who leave to startups outside of their company. Better the devil you know. So strangely enough, a competitor or an employer who you're leaving could be an investor, depending on what terms you leave. And for me, I'd class that as an angel investor if they're helping you out of the blocks at the start. Family and friends. I started my business, we had family and friends that invested small amounts at the start. Can be an emotional subject, but lots and lots of startups start with family and friends money at the start. And then you have suppliers and vendors. If you're again moving a service outside of an employer, you've got an idea and you're pulling the concept over, you'll find sometimes supplier and vendors or people that might well be an angel investor in your business, because we're not just talking about the start, we're talking about a year down the line as well. You could still consider that, depending on the amount and the time and what you're turning over, as an angel investor. What does an angel investor want? Since I've sold my business, I've done 3 investments, and I don't think it changes really. I want to be surrounded by smart people. Really enjoy the challenge and the involvement in me personally in the day-to-day with a business. The thrill on the ride, and then passion. They want to see from, and it sounds strange, I've seen probably, since I've been back on the scene in Brighton in the last year, 20, 30 briefs, and only probably 5 of them really showed passion, really had a clear vision, and the real crux of it, you say on Dragon's Den, but I hate to agree with them sometimes, actually understand their numbers and where money's coming from. Because at the end of the day, it has to show there's a sustainable business there. It doesn't have to be a £10 million business, but it has to be sustainable. But at the start of it, what will convince an angel investor to get involved with you is passion in your eyes. Sounds really corny. When I was sitting there thinking, what am I going to say? But it is. If they can't see passion in your eyes and understanding what you want to achieve, it will make how they treat you at the end around numbers and everything else a lot harsher if they don't see that at the start, because then they're hoping that the numbers actually overcome the fact that they don't see the exact spark and passion that they want. So that the passion and the ride you're going to take the angel investor on at the start could do 80% of your selling job in convincing them. Really can, and not to be underestimated. Angel investor, in our business we took on in angel investment £400,000 in total. Angel investors typically are sort of £10,000, £5,000 through to maybe £500,000 at a push. There are some bigger guys out, a few bigger individuals, but generally in the UK, you know, an individual might go up to $500,000 at the most, or you can obviously accumulate and go to a network of angel investors and maybe raise $1 million. If you go to other countries like the US, no, there's angel investors there that will do $1 or $2 million. But typically, if you're asking an angel investor for 100,000, it's normally on their sweet, an individual, it's on their sweet spot, and they won't think about it too much if they understand your marketplace. That's the other thing as well, finding angel investors who come from your marketplace or associated with your marketplace generally always has a bigger benefit for you in the long term, because you really want to utilize their knowledge and have them involved in your business. And that's what I mean by a good angel investor, not the god at the start who's just throwing money around and having a punt. I don't think that in the long term benefits anybody or helps you. And a random one, but it was actually published only about a couple of weeks ago in an American newspaper. Single mum, twins. I write it as I saw the article, as you saw. She got an angel investor in 2009 of $200,000, and she now turns over $5 million and has 34 staff. And she's not gone to a VC or anything else. That's pure angel investment. So it proves it's happened. She was making coffee in a little coffee shop and then wanted to go further, got talking to some guy who really liked the coffee. And you won't get that from a big VC or anything else like that. That is someone who just really liked her drive, really liked her passion. And I've seen a couple of businesses like that where you got a hat off. Someone's holding down their family life, and it does mean a lot to an angel investor, holding down their family life and has a passion to build a business. So he probably did take a punt, but I bet any money, 80%, 90%, he was convinced by her passion and what the drive she had, and went, yeah, I'll have a go. That does happen. You know, when we raised, just a bit background, when we raised our first tranche of £250,000 in our business, Mobile Interactive Group, a Canadian guy called Pete Williams, and please don't look him up and start calling him, but no, I'm joking. We had one meeting for 4 hours, and he won't mind me saying, he wrote us, because he was going away on holiday. He loved our passion, he loved what we were about, and he wrote us a check because he felt bad because he was going to be away for 3 months for $50,000 then and there, and gave us the rest later when he came back. So that's an angel investor, a good angel investor, and they do exist, and that's what that's the fundamental difference, I think. A bit more living and breathing than, no offence to maybe a slightly bigger VC. Yeah, thank you very much.
So my name is Sophie Giblin, and I'm the director and curator of Collective Gallery. Collective is an art gallery run by emerging artists, for emerging artists. We give and create entrepreneurial opportunities for artists, and we also exhibit their work inside empty high street shops. And we've done this twice. So I've used Kickstarter to crowdfund both of my galleries, and I've always reached 50% of my goal within the first 24 hours and always reached my full goal within 2 weeks. So I'm a recent graduate. I graduated from the University of Brighton this time exactly last year. And I realized after university that a lot of my friends who were artists weren't going into artistic careers because they didn't believe that there was any money in that kind of career. Kind of stunned, I spent my summer learning about entrepreneurship and business, something that I wasn't really taught about at school and university. So I took two short courses. One at Central St. Martin's, it's called Entrepreneurship for Creatives. And the second one was here in this room exactly 1 year ago, the Fusebox AMP, which was 1 month long. It was amazing, actually. I really got clarity with my project, and I was encouraged to begin my project immediately after doing the course. So I opened my first pop-up gallery in December. I needed some funding. I didn't know how to write a funding application. I didn't know about loans. I didn't know about investors. I didn't really care about that either. But I had been told about Kickstarter, and I looked into it, and it was extremely appealing for me, for a creative project. So it's an online donation platform. You basically set yourself a target, £4,000, £10,000, and people will donate money towards your project if they like it. The thing that I like about Kickstarter the most, and about all crowdfunding platforms, is that your community decides whether or not your project's good enough to go through, or they can decide whether or not the city needs it. It's not a board, it's the community. Kickstarter creates urgency. There's lots of different types of crowdfunding campaigns. There's Indiegogo, where no matter how much you are given, even if you don't reach your goal, you'll still be given the money. But the thing I like about Kickstarter is if you don't reach your goal, you won't be given any of the money that you've raised. So it really creates urgency. It's amazing publicity, because at the end of the day, if you don't reach your goal, you are a failed Kickstarter campaign, which really says a lot about the project. So you have to complete your goal. You have to tell people about what you're doing. You need to share it constantly and tell people. So it's great publicity. There's no application. I think you have to write a bio about yourself and maybe a sentence about what your project is, but really the main stuff is in your film that you'll be making, of course, and in your mission statement. What I found is that the artists that I manage felt like they were earning the money. So, you know, you can write an application form on your own in a solitary way, and 50 grand will be in your bank account. But the artists that I would have involved wouldn't really see that as a tangible thing. Whereas when you see the money, the donations going up, people feel like they've earned that money. Oh, it's the film. Sorry, the film doesn't work on my laptop. So here it comes. I'm going to show you my very first Kickstarter film that I made.
Hi, my name's Sophie Giblin, curator and creator of Collective Gallery. About 3 months ago, I finished my art degree. I saw peers decide that they couldn't carry on being artists, believing that the money was poor and the profession wouldn't pay the bills. Stunned, I spent the summer learning about entrepreneurship and business in order to open a gallery for myself, my friends, and all emerging artists everywhere. My aims were to inspire artists to carry on making artwork, encourage them to DIY exhibit anywhere, anytime, and feel comfortable selling their artwork too. I wanted to create a gallery that was generous, collaborative, ever-changing, and outside of artists' usual academic walls. You see, we're not your conventional art gallery. We're invading Brighton's empty high street shops with the best emerging, studying, and recently graduated illustrators, fine artists, and experimental visual explorers. We're a keen and active DIY group of artists wishing to inspire and encourage other artists to make more, exhibit more, and sell more. We're rejuvenating the recession-hit, unwillingly abandoned, dusty and forgotten locations with wonderful art, the opportunity to buy stunning, unique new talent, and take part in fantastic workshops all of our artists will be teaching. Our gallery is a pop-up gallery opening for 6 weeks this November for the Christmas season. This gallery is part of a bigger pioneering project for Brighton's youth and emerging artists to be part of a professional, ever-changing, venture-driven environment outside of academic surroundings. Thank you for watching. Please help us by donating and supporting us towards keeping young artists in creative roles. The money that the artist makes will go towards them, and also the next pop-up, which will have an open brief for schools, colleges and universities to explore. Again, thank you so much, and we hope to see you soon.
Does this need to go back up? Hello. Okay, so that was my first Kickstarter. Didn't work on there. Okay, so I have some tips if you were thinking about doing a crowdfunding campaign. Research is probably the easiest thing in the world to do on a Kickstarter, because you're basically just watching videos and buying nice incentives from all of the different things that you see. I've bought so many different things to back different projects. It's just like going shopping, honestly. It's very easy. Clarity was really the thing that I learned at the Fusebox. Because you're not writing a massive application form, and don't write a huge amount on your Kickstarter, you need to be so clear in your one sentence or in the dialogue that you put into your video. So, press release, paragraph, sentence, have your mission statement really, really solid. Make a film and be in the film. You can see on Kickstarter who doesn't get funded. So failed Kickstarters are there for you to have a look at, and it's mostly unvideoed Kickstarter campaigns. So you should have a video, and it doesn't have to be high tech. In fact, if it's too high tech, they'll probably be asking, well, you have the money already. You don't need mine. So make a film, be in the film. People want to see you. They want to see your passion. And relative incentives are really important. I don't want to be harsh, but kind of general marketing merchandise like key rings and things don't work. It has to be great, interesting incentives that people actually want in their household. Bespoke incentives go down very well as well. I've heard lots of stories about people putting themselves a kind of a dinner date with themselves up as a Kickstarter incentive to talk about the business that they could be funding. That goes down really, really well. And we basically drew people's portraits for Christmas, which, that went down really well as well. How are you spending their money? I mean, that's just common sense, really. If I'm going to give you £50, I want to know what you're doing with it. But people do forget to put it in. A pre-campaign is probably the most important thing you'll ever do if you're about to do a Kickstarter, because once it's up for probably a month. So you have to get people extremely excited for a month or 2 weeks before. Really, really go for it on Twitter. Share. Obviously, you're going to be sharing this constantly because it's an online platform. It's free on Facebook and Twitter. So share like a crazy person and have a big group of people sharing it for you as well. And thank your pledgers, because at the end of the day, they're just giving out of the kindness of their heart. Normally, Kickstarter campaigns can be 1 month long. Any longer and it won't work. People will get bored. I've done one for 1 month, and the second time round I did it for 2 weeks, just to give myself an extra challenge. So halfway through a Kickstarter campaign, there'll be a lull, and people will be bored of you sharing. They'll be bored of the video everywhere on their Facebook page. So you have to do something to excite them again. So halfway through, you should do a public intervention, some kind of publicity stunt. So this is what I did the first time round. Halfway through, 2 weeks in, I said, for one night and for one night only, you can have any scuzzy animal of your choice painted onto the Marwood Cafe wall, a very famous cafe in Brighton. And you can tell us what you want, your name, how big you want the drawing or painting to be. You'll pay, and then you go over to our website and you can watch a live stream of us painting it. So this was halfway through our first Kickstarter campaign. We made all the money that we needed that night. So it really works. Can't tell you how important it is. So this was my first gallery. I thought I'd just show you. We moved into an empty butchery on St. James's Street in Kemp Town, and we were there for 6 weeks and 1 day. And our Kickstarter campaign paid for the rent and the business rates and a little bit of the electrical things that needed fixing. I thought I'd show you what it looked like inside. Oh. So we exhibited 20 local emerging artists, and everybody sold something, which was great. So we had 86 backers in the end, and if you can imagine it like Kickstarter being like people signing a petition, what it means is that it was something that was wanted in the community. And it really goes down well if you do a Kickstarter campaign and you're successful, because it shows perhaps your future investors how much it's loved. We only do little small pots of money because we're only a small gallery, but you know, I've seen amazing campaigns that are £30,000 and they get it in 2 weeks. We just got our £3,615 in 2 weeks, which I'm very proud of. And that's it.